5. Bell-bottom jeans.
Bell-bottom jeans.
Bell-bottoms weren't just pants, they were a statement.
He's a
Before
throwback.
gaming consoles became household staples, there was Pong. This simple two-player commonplace. Teachers used Ditto machines to make copies.
What is that?
Those purple inked sheets had a distinctive chemical smell that kids loved.
So that's what you guys were sniffing back in the day. And yeah, apparently that wasn't good for you as well. I wonder what it smelled like. Oh, mood rings. I just know that's probably something that a bunch of boyfriends got for their girlfriends, and even then they still probably couldn't tell their girlfriends' moods. 50 things only those who grew up in the 1970s will remember. This is coming from a new channel on the block. This is Those Wonder Years. This is going quite viral. It came out 2 weeks ago, 800,000 views already as of the time I'm recording. I'm excited to get into this one, man. You guys know that I've been a lot of deep diving into the times before I was born, the analog days, and it's been fun to kind of discover just kind of like the whole world that existed before the internet and stuff, man. This has been amazing to see. Of course, guys, as always, if you guys want to get that exclusive bonus content from me, I got some movie reactions, album reviews, sitcom watch parties, as well as all the general videos I get blocked on here that I cannot post. That will be going on the Patreon. So if you guys want to get an extra dose of nostalgia, as well as a gender perspective and a lot of these classics that I'm showing you guys on the screen, then I'll definitely recommend checking out the link to the description to the Patreon. We're going to support the channel if you guys love my content, as well as get something in return. And of course, guys, look, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let me know what videos you want me to check out next. And yeah, guys, look, with that being said, let's get straight into this video. Let's go.
Growing up in the 1970s was an experience like no other. From funky fashion trends to unforgettable toys and TV shows, it was a decade filled with unique moments that defined a generation. Join us as we dive into 50 things that only those who lived through the 70s will truly remember.
We got 50.
1. The Easy Bake Oven.
Well, not included.
Here's what you can make in an easy bake mini wave oven.
Nothing felt more empowering as a kid in the 1970s than baking your own tiny cakes and cookies with the Easy Bake Oven. The magic. It wasn't high tech. It used a simple light bulb to cook the treats. Kids would mix packets of batter, slide the mini pan into the oven, and wait impatiently as the little bulb did its job. Sure, the results often tasted a bit unique, but the joy of cooking your own dessert made every bite worth it. 2. Feathered
Hey,
hair.
I heard a lot about you know, those Easy Bake Ovens as well. Especially they're so hot. Like surely that it was a bit dangerous. I feel like kid toys back then were just way more dangerous than they are now. But yeah, that's one that I found out about recently. I'm aware of that, but only through these videos. I know a lot of Gen Zers probably won't know what that is.
But the joy of cooking your own dessert made every
it looks
bite
fun.
worth it. 2. Feathered hair. Farrah Fawcett's feathered hair became the gold standard for style in the 1970s. Whether you were at school, work, or out on the town, everyone tried to achieve those perfect, soft waves that flipped outward just right. Achieving the look often required hours with a blow dryer, a round brush, and cans of hairspray. For boys,
so was it Farrah Fawcett that really started this wave of that type of feathered hair? That's interesting. From what I'm aware, she was like the it girl back in the day. Like obviously nowadays it's way different. The look, the beauty standard has changed. But that's interesting stuff, man.
With a blow dryer, a round brush, and cans of hairspray. For boys, this style also found its way into popularity. Longer hair with subtle feathering was a staple of the era. 3. Clackers.
Makes sense.
Have
Clackers.
the new unbreakable, shatterproof Miracle Clackers. Look for Miracle Clackers in
Clackers were a deceptively simple toy. 2 acrylic balls attached to a string that you swung up and down to make them smack together. The faster you swung, the louder the clacking sound, and the greater the risk of bruised hands or worse. Clackers were thrilling but borderline dangerous, leading to bans in some places.
They look dangerous.
For kids in the 70s, they were a rite of passage, testing both patience and coordination. 4. Schoolhouse Rock.
Don't kill me.
Who knew learning could be so catchy? Schoolhouse Rock aired between Saturday morning cartoons and taught kids everything from grammar, conjunction junction, what's your function, to math. 3 is a magic number. The animated shorts were so engaging that kids often didn't realize they were learning. Those catchy tunes stuck in your head long after the TV was off. Decades later, their educational magic remains unforgettable. 5. Bell-bottom jeans.
Bell-bottom jeans.
Bell-bottoms weren't just pants, they were a statement. With flared legs that started narrow at the knee and exploded into a dramatic sweep, these jeans were everywhere in the 1970s. Whether paired with platform shoes, tie-dye shirts, or even fringed vests, bell-bottoms symbolized individuality and rebellion. By the end of the decade, they had become so iconic that they still instantly scream 1970s in any photos.
Definitely.
The Electric Company.
Definitely. Hey, so far, a lot of these things that he's mentioned so far, are things that I only just recently discovered like a month ago through these videos. And especially when it comes to the bell-bottom jeans, yeah, this is a classic. When I think of bell-bottom jeans, I'm definitely thinking like 70s.
Photos. 6. The Electric Company.
The Electric Company.
Before cable TV brought educational programming to every household, the Electric Company ruled the airwaves. Aimed at slightly older kids than Sesame Street, this PBS show featured
Is that Morgan
songs.
Freeman? Sorry, guys. I don't know why I just stopped it like that. I don't know why I just screamed, is that Morgan? Sorry, I apologize.
Aimed at slightly older kids than Sesame Street, this PBS show featured catchy songs, fun skits,
that might not be as well.
Guest stars, a young Morgan Freeman.
Okay, it was. I knew
Its
it.
playful approach to teaching reading and grammar made it a hit with both kids and parents. And
I've never heard of that.
1970s aesthetic made learning feel fresh and cool. 7.
That does look cool.
CB radios. Before cell phones and the internet, CB, Citizens Band radios, were a way to communicate, especially on the road. Thanks to movies like Smokey and the Bandit, CB radios became a cultural phenomenon, with everyone adopting their own handle.
You guys actually had your own radios.
Like 10 and 4, Good Buddy, and Breaker entered the lexicon. Kids loved pretending to be truckers, and even families would tune in just for fun.
That's
8.
hilarious.
Trapper Keeper.
You know, I thought radios are always just things I saw in movies. I've never actually like experienced that, but it looks fun though. Like all I remember is hearing like Roger that. Like that's just my experience with seeing it on movies. But the fact that people were actually using radios back then, it makes sense though.
Pretending to be truckers.
It makes sense to
even
think about.
Families would tune in just for fun. 8. Trapper Keepers.
Won't fall out. And I've got a tracker folder for each subject.
That's pretty neat.
The Trapper Keeper was the holy grail of school supplies. With its bold, colorful designs, Velcro closure, and pockets to organize everything, it made kids feel like they had their lives together. Though it became more iconic in the 1980s, its debut in the late 70s set the stage for decades of academic organization. Owning one wasn't just practical, it was a status symbol. 9. Pet rocks.
So what did you have before that?
Without smartphones,
before Trapper Keepers, and what were you just hold your books in your hand, just like, and things just could be flying out, like well, backpacks were like a thing like that back in the day. You used to be holding like your packed lunch and your books in the hand. I remember watching Dazed and Confused, and I just remember seeing all these kids go around with just with books in their hands, and I'm just thinking, oh, wait, so yeah, this is 70s stuff, man, because nowadays, obviously, you got your book bags, you got your books, you got the folders, you got everything you need. Just calculator in the bag. It's like, yeah, I can imagine the equipment back then was different. Way different.
The stage for decades of academic organization. Owning one wasn't just practical, it was a status symbol. 9. Pet rocks.
Oh, not this.
In a world without smartphones or TikTok, the
can't
idea of
stand
a pet rock
rocks.
somehow took off. Marketed as the perfect low-maintenance pet, each rock came in a small cardboard box with breathing holes and instructions for care. While it started as a tongue-in-cheek gift, the craze swept the nation in 1975. It's a reminder of how something as simple and silly as a rock could become a cultural phenomenon in the 1970s.
That's hilarious.
10.
Hey, and I'm not gonna let any of you Gen Xers get away with that. Like, you guys, I'm always going to bring up the pet rock thing. How this went so far. To be fair, I feel like pet rocks, now that I think about it, is more like the equivalent of like these memes of nowadays online. That just go so much further than you expect to them, and it just ends up being this big joke, and then everyone just has it. Shout out to the guy again. I forgot his name that made these, but whatever he did, he just broke he found a glitch in the Matrix. He just broke the world or something. However he did it, he got so rich off of it. It's just wow. Like, he's a legend. Forever's gonna be a legend.
A rock could become a cultural phenomenon in the 1970s.
Let me know if you guys had pet rocks as well. Comment down below if you had a pet rock, and let me know what you named it.
As a rock could become a cultural phenomenon in the 1970s.
Yeah,
10.
pet rocks,
the
man.
Fisher-Price Chatter Telephone. This iconic toy introduced countless toddlers to the idea of talking on the phone. With its smiling face, spinning rotary dial, and wheels for pulling it around, the chatter telephone was a staple of 1970s childhoods. Even though it didn't actually work, kids loved pretending to make important calls.
When I first saw this telephone as well, I remember my mum, who's a Gen Xer, has this toy like in her box or something, and I remember looking at it thinking it was just some cool kind of phone thing. I didn't realize those were actually like based on real phones back in the days. Like a lot of the things that I remember growing up with were things that I thought like just foreign objects that I'm not used to seeing. Like they're just some weird kind of toys. And then now I'm going back and checking out these videos and realizing, wait a second, these were things that people were actually using back in the day, and they just made like a toy version of it. It's like trippy to think about.
Later,
now that I'm looking at it differently,
remains one of Fisher-Price's most beloved creations. 11. Rotary Telephone.
I want to try one of these so bad.
If you wanted to call someone in the 1970s, you needed patience and a rotary telephone. Each number had to be dialed by turning the wheel and waiting for it to spin back. Heaven forbid you messed up the last digit. You'd have to start all over. These phones were solid and built to last, often in classic colors like avocado green or mustard yellow.
So good,
they might seem cumbersome today, but the distinctive clicking sound of dialing remains a hallmark of the era. 12.
No, like I would just want to know what it feels like to have gone on a phone, picked it up like this, and said my thing and then slammed it back down. You just can't do that with phones. That all I gotta do is this. I tap my phone like here, tap it off, it's gone. You know, the call's done. But being able to slam that phone back into the thingy majiggy, this thing here, that would have been so satisfying, man. Look, let me know what you guys, if you guys felt that satisfaction, how that was. I mean, for you guys, it's probably just that was like your everyday thing. For me, this is like that just looks so different. It just looks different.
But the distinctive clicking sound of dialing remains a hallmark of the era. 12. Light Bright. This glowing masterpiece maker was pure joy for kids in the 70s. You'd place black paper over the light bright screen, insert colored plastic pegs, and watch your creation light up. Whether it was a pre-made design or something entirely original, it felt magical. The bright, colorful lights were mesmerizing, making it a toy that kept kids entertained for hours. And occasionally stepping on those tiny pegs barefoot was an unforgettable pain. 13. Metal lunchboxes.
Carrying
a metal lunchbox to school wasn't just about your sandwich. It was about showing off your personality. From Star Wars to the $6 Million Man, these sturdy boxes were adorned with characters, shows, or bands you loved. Inside, a matching thermos kept your drink warm or cold. You felt invincible walking into the cafeteria with your favorite design. While they've since been replaced by softer options, these boxes are still treasured by collectors today. 14.
Yeah, my ones are always plastic. I remember plastic lunchbox when I was really young, not metal. Metal just, yeah, man, that seems like you can just get a lot of problems with that, especially when mold starts collecting and stuff. But let me know, let me know if you guys, what kind of lunchbox you guys had, and what was your go-to meal that maybe your parents prepared and stuff. I've heard of bologna sandwiches were popular, or peanut butter sandwiches, whatever it was. Let me know if you guys, what you guys had.
By softer options, these boxes
I've never
are still
experienced a metal one
collectors today. 14. Mood rings.
Mood
rings were the ultimate 70s accessory.
I've heard of
Marketed
these.
as a way to read your emotions, these rings changed color based on temperature, which supposedly reflected your mood. From blue for calm to amber for nervous, every kid was fascinated by the magic of the shifting colors. Whether or not the moods were accurate didn't matter. It was all about the mystery and fun of wearing one. 15. The overhead.
Oh, mood rings. I just know that's probably something that a bunch of boyfriends got for their girlfriends. And even then, they still probably couldn't tell their girlfriends' moods. Bless them, man. But yeah, mood rings and pet rocks are the two like things of the 70s that I just can't get over, man. I've seen these before and it's just, yeah, man, I've never experienced them. And now when I look back at some older movies and I see this thing on people's fingers, I know what it is now. But yeah, that one is an interesting one.
Were accurate didn't matter.
Let me know if you guys had that.
The mystery and fun of wearing one. 15. The overhead projector. In classrooms of the 1970s, the overhead projector was king. Teachers would write or draw on transparent sheets, projecting the images onto the chalkboard. Whether it was math problems or maps for geography lessons, students watched in awe as the light bulb and magnifying lens brought lessons to life. Of course, the real fun was when the teacher let you come up and write on the transparency yourself. 16, disco balls.
Yeah.
No party in the 70s.
Yeah, those projectors, like when I was young, we had those, but I don't think they're as common now. It's all just like these whiteboard screens, interactive screens, all of this, computers, technology. Times are changing, man.
Transparency yourself. 16,
that's a throwback.
disco balls. No party in the 70s was complete without a disco ball. Suspended from the ceiling, it cast sparkling light across the room as it rotated slowly, transforming any space into a mini dance club. Whether you were grooving to the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack or simply enjoying the colorful reflections, the disco ball became an iconic symbol of the decade's nightlife and fun-loving spirit. 17.
Probably didn't last long
fresh
though.
Ditto copies. Before photocopiers were commonplace, teachers used ditto machines to make copies.
What is that?
Those purple inked sheets had a distinctive chemical smell that kids loved, even if they weren't supposed to sniff them. When a stack of freshly printed dittos landed on your desk, it was a sign that something exciting, like a pop quiz or coloring activity, was about to happen.
So that's what you guys were sniffing back in the day.
Something exciting, like a pop quiz or coloring activity, was about to happen. That scent became a quirky yet unforgettable part of classroom life in the 1970s. 18.
That's what. So that's just, whatever that smell came from that machine. You guys were a lot of you guys were obsessed with that sniffing. Now look at this little frame right here. People sniffing the paper, and yeah, apparently that wasn't good for you as well. And people just sniffing it. Let me see that again.
Was about to happen. That scent became
I wonder what it smelled like.
An unforgettable part of classroom life in the 1970s.
Yeah, I wonder what that smelled like.
Dodgeball. Gym class
it must have
in the
smelled
70s
nice.
often meant one thing: dodgeball. With rubber balls flying across the room, the game was a mix of adrenaline, skill, and occasional terror. Getting hit squarely in the face stung like crazy, but it was all part of the fun. There were no foam balls or extra safety measures, just the thrill of dodging and the satisfaction of taking out your opponent with a well-aimed throw.
Yeah, they won't let you do stuff like that nowadays. I know when I was when I was really young, some of these things I kind of remember doing in like PE or like these classes, but I feel like nowadays they don't let you like have those same rubber balls now, because it's like, you know, it's hazard and stuff. But this looks fun though, like, and I feel like the adrenaline of the like some of these games back in the day just makes them more fun. Now they're like all safe and stuff, which is good, but I feel like kind of takes away the fun a bit. But that's just me personally. I get why they changed it.
And the satisfaction of taking out your opponent with a well-aimed throw.
I would have liked
Stretch Armstrong.
to do that.
For
more.
aspiring young professional wrestlers, there
Stretch
is the
Armstrong.
Stretch Armstrong doll.
Stretch Armstrong was the toy every kid wanted. This rubbery action figure could be pulled, twisted, and stretched to ridiculous lengths before snapping back into shape. Kids would team up to see how far they could stretch him, and sometimes they stretched too far, causing the mysterious goo inside to ooze out. Despite his fragile nature, Stretch Armstrong became an enduring symbol of 1970s toy innovation.
Yeah, I've
20.
seen
Waterbeds.
Waterbeds.
In the 1970s, having a waterbed wasn't just about sleeping, it was a statement. These beds, filled with water instead of springs or foam, promised a unique, floating experience. While they were undeniably cool, they were also notorious for leaks and being incredibly hard to move. Still, for many, waterbeds represented the height of groovy bedroom trends, complete with lava lamps and shag carpeting. 21. Saturday morning cartoons.
Classics.
The 1970s were the golden age of Saturday morning cartoons. Kids would wake up early, grab a bowl of sugary cereal, and plant themselves in front of the TV for hours of animated adventures. Shows like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, The Jetsons, and Super Friends ruled the lineup. It was a weekly ritual that turned Saturday mornings into sacred, magical moments, and parents knew not to interrupt. 22. Atari
these are
Pong.
throwbacks.
With digital scoring, variable speeds, Telstar Hockey. Each player controls a goalie plus a forward.
These are
Before
throwbacks.
gaming consoles became household staples, there was Pong. This simple two-player video game mimicked table tennis with a bouncing square ball and two paddle-like lines. Released in the early 70s, it introduced millions to the idea of playing games on a screen. The excitement of controlling that little dot back and forth felt revolutionary, even if today it seems laughably basic. 23. Milk in glass.
The only experience I've had of Pong is on my phone. Or like I feel like I remember playing that plus a game called Snakes when I was really young on like a BlackBerry. So I feel like I could probably relate to some millennials with some of these early technological devices, but all the stuff before technology, it's like, yeah, I can see where a lot of the inspiration is coming from the things that I'm like using now, or I was using when I was young. But this stuff is a throwback. From what some of the videos I've seen, a lot of the things I've been mentioned so far have been things that I've like came across, and I can imagine, yeah, this is bringing back a lot of memories for you guys.
The idea of playing games on a screen, the excitement of controlling that little dot back and forth felt revolutionary.
That does look
today
fun,
it
though.
seems laughably basic. 23.
I'd still
Milk
play
in
it.
glass bottles. Whether delivered to your doorstep or served at school, milk in
Milk
glass
in
bottles
glass.
was a staple of 1970s
Glass.
life. These bottles, often with a paper or foil cap, were reusable and made a satisfying clinking sound when handled. At school, kids drank from small glass bottles.
They let
and
you
at
have-
home, many remember the sound of the milkman's truck as he made his rounds. 24.
Why would they
Earth
glass
shoes.
though? Like if you drop that, it's long. If the milkman ever dropped the one glass or any of the cartons, whatever, it's long. They used to make it out of glass back in the day. Wow,
Kids drank
that
from
makes sense
small
though.
glass bottles.
Weren't
And at
fizzy
home,
drinks
many remember
also
the sound
using
of the
glass
milkman's
as well?
truck as he made his rounds. 24. Earth shoes. Earth shoes were all the rage in the 1970s, thanks to their unique negative heel design that promised better posture and health benefits. They had a funky look, with the heel sitting lower than the toe, but that didn't stop them from becoming a fashion statement. While they've largely disappeared from closets today, anyone who wore them remembers their quirky charm and maybe the slight backache they left behind.
Yeah, surely that's just not
25.
good for the
Happy
feet.
Days. This hit TV show transported
Happy
viewers
Days.
back to the 1950s, but became a defining part of the 1970s. With Richie Cunningham, his wholesome family, and the effortlessly cool Fonzie.
I've never heard of that.
Happy Days was a cultural phenomenon. It didn't just entertain, it influenced everything from fashion to catchphrases and even spawned spin-offs like Laverne and Shirley. 26. Big Wheels.
Interesting. Wait, Big Wheels is Hot Wheels.
Big wheel Cobra with license
it?
plate.
The ultimate ride for kids in the 1970s, Big Wheels were low-to-the-ground tricycles
That
with
looks
oversized front wheels. Kids
That's
raced
fun.
them down sidewalks and driveways, performing dramatic spins with the handbrake.
That looks
It was
fun.
the closest you could get to being a race car driver at age 5.
That looks
For many,
fun.
the sight of a bright plastic big wheel is a one-way ticket to childhood nostalgia. 27. Beanbag chairs.
I love
No
that one.
1970s living
Beanbag
room or
chairs.
bedroom was complete without a beanbag chair. These squishy, oversized sacks of fabric were a cozy spot
Oh, those
to
are
lounge,
carpenters.
watch TV, or read a book. They came in bright, funky colors, perfectly matching the era's psychedelic aesthetic. While they occasionally
Psychedelic.
leaked tiny beads, they were a defining part of relaxed 70s decor. 28.
tiny
8-track
beads.
tapes.
Eight
Before
track.
cassettes and
Oh,
CDs,
right.
there were 8 tracks, the clunky
Oh,
plastic
wow.
cartridges that delivered music on the go. Whether you were rocking out to Fleetwood Mac in your car or blasting Elton John on your home player, 8 tracks were everywhere in the 1970s.
Okay.
They weren't perfect. Songs often cut off mid-track, but they paved the way for the music portability we take for granted today.
Right.
29. Polaroid
Yeah,
camera.
all of this music was definitely a lot harder to listen to back in the day, man. From the stories that I've heard, considering what I've gotten, things like how I've got things like Spotify and stuff like that now. Obviously, when the earliest form of listening to music I can remember is like I said, going on my phone and streaming it on Spotify, which is crazy to think about, man. When you look about how things are before the internet, this is mad. A lot has changed, man.
70s. They weren't perfect. Songs often cut off mid-track, but they paved the way for the music portability we take for granted today. 29. Polaroid cameras. Instant photography was a revolution in the 1970s, and Polaroid cameras made it happen. Snap a photo, wait a minute, and watch the image develop right before your
Polaroid
eyes.
cameras.
It was perfect for capturing family moments, vacations, or goofy candid shots. The chunky cameras and glossy prints became a hallmark of the decade, and Polaroids still evoke a sense of instant nostalgia. 30.
Yeah. People still be using them
Scooby-Doo,
today,
where
from what I've
are
seen.
you?
I'm aware of Polaroid cameras. Scooby Doo.
This iconic cartoon followed a group of mystery-solving teens and their lovable Great Dane, Scooby-Doo. With its spooky settings, memorable villains, and unforgettable catchphrases, Roo-Row Raggy. The show was a Saturday morning favorite. Scooby Snacks, the Mystery Machine, and unmasking the bad guy at the end made it timeless for anyone who grew up in the 70s.
Wow. I watched Scooby-Doo when I was young, but only on Nickelodeon, like on the actual TV. So kind of like a similar experience. I didn't realize Scooby-Doo was all the way back in the 70s, but it makes sense. Again, like some of the things that I'm looking at that I remember seeing when I was really young, like kind of seeing where more of these things originated is mad to me. Because in my head as a kid, like I'm just assuming these things is always there. And I just have a different perspective on it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is, wow, this
guy
is
at the end made it
making me deep my childhood.
Who grew up in the 70s.
Some of these things.
31. Vinyl records. In the 1970s, vinyl records weren't just a way to listen to music. They were an experience. From flipping through albums at the record store to carefully placing the needle on the turntable, every step was part of the ritual. The crackle of the record starting up and the large, colorful album covers were just as memorable as the music itself. Whether it was Fleetwood Mac, Led Zeppelin, or ABBA, vinyl ruled the decade. 32. The Brady Bunch.
I would have loved to experience
families everywhere found their heroes in the Brady Bunch. With 6 kids, a wise housekeeper, and 2 endlessly patient parents.
Yeah, they're all, that's the way they're all dressed is given 70s, man.
With 6
Look at that top button undone, chest hair, all of that, all these tacky kind of clothes designs. This house looks quite modernized though for a 70s house. Like, where's all the like paintings on, or the patterns on the wall? Like, this house probably looks very modernized from what I'm used to. Like, kind of looks like what you have nowadays in a way. Like, these floating stairs as well. Like, yeah, that's a different. I'm not used to seeing this. When I've seen 70s house, they don't all look like this. But then again, maybe I just haven't seen all of them. But yeah, this is giving 70s for sure. Look at the hairstyles as well.
2 endlessly patient parents. The show was a mix of humor,
bell-bottom jeans. Look at that.
Quirky situations. From the iconic opening theme song to Marsha's infamous "Oh My Nose" moment, the Brady Bunch captured the heart of a generation.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Spirograph. The Spirograph was the ultimate creative toy for kids in the 1970s. Using plastic gears and colored pens, you could create intricate geometric patterns that looked like magic. It wasn't just fun, it felt artistic. Kids would spend hours designing colorful spirals and proudly showing them off, making it a must-have for any aspiring young artist. 34. Platform shoes. Platform shoes weren't just footwear, they were a statement. Whether worn at the disco or out on the street, these towering shoes added inches to your height and style to your outfit. From glittery designs to bold colors, platforms were the perfect match for bell-bottoms and jumpsuits. Just walking in them without toppling over was an achievement. 35. Macrame. Macrame was everywhere in the 1970s. From plant holders to wall hangings, this intricate knotting art was a staple of home decor. It brought a bohemian vibe to living rooms and bedrooms, often paired with shag carpets and earthy tones. DIY kits made it easy for anyone to jump on the macrame trend, and many did. 36. The Partridge Family. This musical TV family captured the hearts of viewers in the 1970s. Traveling in their colorful, patchwork-painted bus, they performed catchy songs like "I Think I Love You" while dealing with everyday family antics. David Cassidy became a teenage heartthrob, and Shirley Jones's motherly charm made the show a classic. 37.
Yeah, first I'm hearing of that.
This glamorous trio of crime-fighting women defined girl power in the 1970s. Whether it was Farrah Fawcett's iconic feathered hair or the Angels' knack for solving mysteries in style, the show was a pop culture sensation. With a mix of action, intrigue, and fashion, Charlie's Angels inspired countless kids to play detective. 30.
My mom loved Charlie's Angels. You know, so this is why some of these things are foreign. These things are like, the way I'm interacting with a lot of these things, from how they're just triggering things from my childhood. I feel like I remember back in it, like when I was really, really young, like I'm talking under the age of 5. And I remember hearing of these things and I'm just not interested. But then to see like it back again, things are just making more sense now. And I could, like, it's making me look at my parents differently. Like, I'm starting to make more sense of a lot of these things. But Charlie's Angels, okay, that's a 70s, popular in the 70s especially.
Intrigue and fashion, Charlie's Angels inspired countless kids to play detective. 38.
To play
film
detective.
strips. In classrooms of the 1970s, film strips were the peak of educational technology. Teachers loaded the projector, dimmed the lights, and clicked through a series of still images while a narrator explained the topic. The familiar beep signaled when it was time to advance to the next frame. While they might seem low-tech today, watching film strips felt exciting back then.
It's like a PowerPoint
The Muppet
slideshow
Show.
or something. That's what it sounds like. Muppet Show.
The Muppet Show brought Jim Henson's lovable puppets into prime time. Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, and the gang entertained audiences with a mix of comedy, music, and guest stars. Whether you were laughing at the antics of Statler and Waldorf or humming along to Mahana Mana, the show was pure joy. 40, clocks with flip numbers.
Shout out to the Muppets.
Inside Wisconsin's largest scratch and dent department, found exclusively at Appliance World.
In the 1970s, flip clocks were a futuristic addition to any bedside table. Instead of hands on a dial, these clocks had mechanical flaps that flipped over to display the time. The soft click as the numbers changed was oddly satisfying, and their modern look made them a favorite of the era's design trends. 41, Rock'em Sock.
Yeah, it's mad as well. What's considered modern of the time, to me, feels ancient. Or like old-fashioned, or like, you know what I'm saying, retro. Whatever word you want to use. Crazy.
Look made them a
crazy.
favorite.
I can imagine what
trend.
people in the future will be looking back of things of today and going, "Whoa!" Like I don't even want to know what I'm gonna be feeling like when I'm hearing some like Gem Betas talk about, "Oh my God, you guys had those iPhones that you can tap on the screen and you went in the VR world, like, or you guys actually had to do things yourself, like you didn't have a portable bot that would do it for you, like." I don't even know, man. That's mad to think about.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Oh, that's what they call Rock'em Sock'em.
Robots by Mark.
These plastic battling robots were a 1970s must-have. Kids spent hours controlling the red and blue fighters, aiming to knock each other's block off. Literally, the satisfying pop when you landed a punch and sent your opponent's head springing up was the ultimate victory. Simple but endlessly entertaining, these robots became a staple of family game nights. 42, black and white TVs.
I can imagine.
While color TVs were becoming more common in the 1970s, many households still had trusty black and white sets. Watching shows like The Andy Griffith Show or old movie reruns in grayscale had its charm. Adjusting the antenna or fiddling with the dials to get a clearer picture was part of the experience. It may seem ancient now, but these TVs held a special place in living rooms everywhere.
Black and white
43,
TVs.
tube tops. Tube tops were a summer staple in the 1970s. These stretchy, strapless tops were bold, fun, and perfect for staying cool. They came in bright colors and patterns, often paired with high-waisted shorts or bell-bottoms. While they required a bit of confidence to wear, they embodied the carefree spirit of the decade.
Yeah, man. The crazy thing about these kinds of like a lot of these like models that they're showing as well, like very slim, very slim, man. And especially back then in the 70s where everyone was just a way slimmer, man.
They embodied the carefree spirit of the
especially
decade.
in the US.
45, Scooby Snacks. Inspired by the beloved cartoon Scooby-Doo, Scooby Snacks weren't just for dogs. They became a real-life snack for kids, too. Whether you tried a box of the graham cracker versions or simply loved imagining what Scooby and Shaggy were eating, these treats were a quirky part of childhood in the 70s. And yes, many kids tried dog biscuits just to see what all the fuss was about. 46, Handwritten Notes.
No way. Well, you guys actually tried, were people actually trying dog biscuits back in the day? That's interesting. I'm sure, you know, I can see why though. I'm surely you would be curious as to see what the fuss was about. But yeah, man, that's actually funny. Let me know if you guys have tried dog biscuits.
Tried dog biscuits just to see what all the fuss was about. 46, Handwritten Notes. Before texts and emails, kids passed handwritten notes in class. Folded into intricate shapes, these notes carried everything from secret crush confessions to inside jokes. The act of passing a note without getting caught by the teacher was an art form. Receiving one was always exciting, and reading it felt like being part of a secret world. 47.
I can imagine, man.
Lava lamps were the epitome of
I wanna sometimes I wish I could just go back to like the 70s and 80s, especially just to experience like some of these things. Like passing notes. You kind of had that when I was young, like in my like primary school, secondary school, or like high school, like early years of high school, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think you'll get that as much nowadays, man. You just got to text. You could just text people.
World. 47. Lava lamps. Lava lamps were the epitome of
Lava
groovy
lamps.
decor in the 1970s. The colorful blobs of wax floating in a liquid-filled glass tube created a mesmerizing effect. Perfect for bedrooms or living rooms, these psychedelic lamps added ambiance and were a staple of the era's funky aesthetic. Watching the lava rise and fall was strangely hypnotic. 49. Petroleum jelly as lip gloss.
Lava
Before
lamps.
fancy lip balms and glosses, many kids turned to petroleum jelly. It was shiny, easy to find in the
Vaseline.
medicine cabinet, and felt luxurious to apply. Often smeared on in generous amounts, it became a budget-friendly beauty hack for the 70s generation. Plus, it doubled as a fix for dry skin, practical and glamorous.
Yeah, man.
Growing
That's an interesting video, man. Like the 50 things, man. Wow, what a video. This was 20 minutes long. I spoke quite a bit during this. Shout out to you guys who made this point. Again, lava lamps as well. I feel like were one of those things that were ahead of its time. I feel like especially with the kind of decor you see nowadays, like lightings you see with the younger generation, like all these LED lights. I feel like lava lamps would fit right into the aesthetic. But guys, look, let me know if this brought back any memories. Look, for the videos that I've seen, I recognize quite a few of these things, but I can say if it wasn't for these videos, I would not recognize a single thing. I would genuinely not recognize a single thing. Like, there's not one, maybe some of the cartoons that kind of carried on, like Scooby-Doo, the Muppets, and maybe some of these toys would have brought back some memories. But outside of that, a lot of these things were just foreign. The way things were like before the internet were foreign. And it's been great kind of doing this deep dive. I feel like, especially when it comes to the 70s, I'm starting to make more sense of it. And the 80s. Obviously, 60s and onwards. Now we're really getting back into history timelines now, man. Now I feel like I'm really going back in time. But yeah, I feel like these time period doesn't seem as foreign to me, especially you guys that have been keeping on me on the channel. You know that I've done quite a few of these videos. But if this is your first time, guys, don't forget to subscribe. Look, if you made this point, comment on a yellow heart so I know who my runners are. Let me know if this brought back memories for you guys. Let me know what ones in particular that you would have resonated with you, and let me know how true this was, and was there anything that was not shown in this that you guys remember when you were young. I'd love to know all these things down in the comments below. Of course, guys, like the video before you head on out. Do me a big favor. And as always, I've been your boy JayFlex, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.